Welcome to Session Sunday. Hi guys, it's Jack Edwards and today's session is going to be focusing on patterns of play. But before we get into this week's video, make sure to give us a like and subscribe, and if you missed last week's video, click on the link above. Okay, so moving into part one of this week's session, we're moving into our first pattern of play. But before we get into the session, let's have a look at how many players we've got this week and how we're going to set up. So we've got 14 players this week, including 2 goalkeepers. If you don't have 2 goalkeepers, you only have 1. If you could use an assistant coach or a parent, which we've said about before, but it's important that we get 2 goalkeepers. Or even if need be, if you're working with maybe older players or even younger players as well, they could take turns after they've had a shot to then go in goal. And then once they've played out from the back, the person who's then had the shot can go in goal. So they can just take in turns, just to make it realistic for the players to have that goalkeeper to shoot with. And also it's important for the goalkeeper because we're going to work on their footwork from playing out from the back as well. In terms of equipment for this week's session, balls, bibs and cones, and then obviously goals for us to score in. So we're going to be using 2 goals in this part of the session. So how it's going to work is you're going to split the outfield group into 2, so 2 groups of 6. So what I did, I put the group into bibs, so I know exactly where the starting point was for the players. So then once we've seen most of the Blues get back round to their starting points, then we can stop the session and progress it. Okay, so we all know that the players have had a go at scoring, had a go playing at different positions and working in different areas. So then we can stop the session and then progress it. So how it's going to start is the goalkeeper's going to play out to the centre-back. Centre-back is then going to play out to the full-back in this one, so the full-back's going to create some space. Full-back's going to play into midfielder, who's created space for themselves to open out. Then the midfielder is going to play into the winger, who can even make a run in front as well, or they can do that double movement to come short and then go long. And then the forward player, so the striker, is going to make their movements on that. So the winger might play a first-time pass in, or they might take the ball forward for a cutback and then look to finish. Okay, what happens then is each player will just follow their movement. Okay, so the centre-back will move to where the full-back is. Full-back will move to where the midfielder is. The midfielder will move to the winger is. The winger will move up to striker, and the striker will join the next group. But with that being said, both groups are going at the same time, so all of these players will move one up as well. So the main thing we're looking for is to move the ball quickly, so timing of our runs as well, timing of our movement, a good first touch to enable us to even play first time as well. So when that ball's coming towards us, if our body position is really good, we can play first time. If not, can we take that first touch out away from the body to then follow it up with a nice firm pass into feet or in front of somebody to run onto. So we're looking to get our finish at the end of it, but we're looking for quick build-up play to then create space to try and score. We will now move into our first animation before moving on to the progression for this part of the session. Okay, so moving into the progression for this part of the drill, we're just changing up a couple of the passes, so we're getting different runs from different players. So the setup of the session is exactly the same. In terms of the width and depth for this part of the session, it just depends on how much space you have. But what I had was 10 yards between each player, so between each cone, so from goalkeeper to the first cone, and then the first cone up to where the midfielder is 10 yards as well, so you can split that with 5 with the fullback, then another 10 yards and another 10 yards after that. But you can make as much room as you want, or you can make it a bit limited so there's a bit more movement. And then in terms of width, I had 25 yards, so it was kind of 10 yards into the middle, 5 yards in the middle, and then another 10 yards after that. But again, it just depends on how much space you have to make it work for your players in your age group. So the way the pattern changes now is we're still going to be playing into the centre-back. So the centre-back now is going to play into the centre midfielder. Instead of the centre midfielder then playing into the full-back, it's going to be a nice turn. Okay, so they're going to receive on that back foot, get the ball out of the body. Okay, and then they're going to play into the winger. The winger can have two movements. They can either pull out here, so then we want the full-back to run inside of them. Okay, so an inverted run. Or they can come in short here like that to then enforce the overlap from the full-back. Either way, whatever's going to happen, they're going to set to the full-back, who's then going to encourage the movement from the striker to move in to finish. Okay, so if it's a overlap run, it's probably going to be more of a cross from the fullback. So it's going to be receiving a bit wider. But if it's an inverted run, it's going to be a bit more of a through ball into the striker's feet or just in front to then go and finish. The same movements apply. So the centre back will go into where the centre midfielder is. The centre midfielder will then go out to be the winger. After he's been the winger, then you go and be the fullback. And then after you've been the fullback, because you've made that run forward, you go to be the striker. And then the striker goes and joins the opposing team. Okay, so we're just getting a little bit of different movements. So then the players have got to be wary of other players' movements. So if the fullback just bombs on and to go on the overlap and the winger's pulled out wide, then they're going to bump into each other. The space isn't going to be great and it's not going to be a good link up. Okay, so they've got to be communicating and we've got to be wary and awareness of the other players' run. We will now move into our next animation before moving on to this week's 4-corner model. Okay, so moving into this week's 4-corner model, starting off with technical and tactical, we're looking at our timing of our runs and our receiving skills. So we need to time our runs into space, time our runs to pull out, to receive the ball maybe on the back foot. So then looking at our receiving skills, are we going to be receiving in front of us? Are we going to receive to then pull out to open out and then play forward? Okay, so we need to be able to see where the ball's coming from to where we're going to play to. Okay, so if I'm a centre midfielder and I'm receiving the ball from the centre back and I'm going to be opening up to play forward to the winger, I need to make sure that when I'm receiving that ball, my body is positioned to be able to see where that ball's coming from, and then I can open out on that back foot to see where the player is going to be. So we speak about being able to see 3 corner flags on the pitch. So if I'm a central midfielder and I'm positioning myself and all I can see is the 2 corner flags facing my own goal, okay, then I don't know anything that is going on in the other half of the pitch. If I position myself on the side and I can see on my left corner of my eye the left corner flag in my own half, I can see the one directly opposite me, and then I can see the one where in the opposite corner on the left hand side as well. So about coming out of my right corner of my eye, that's where I can see my winger. That's where I can see my forward players. Okay, so I can get an idea in my head of when I receive that ball, I'm going to take that touch to my right because I can see the winger's going to make a run in behind the defence, so I can then play the pass. Also having the ability to play first time. So we're trying to set a high tempo, we're trying to play quick. So with all our movement to receive the ball, can we then play first time? Okay, so can we play passes into people that are nice and firm, able to run onto, or if they've made space, we're playing it in front of them just to move forward to then play a first time pass. Okay, so if we've got the ability to do it, can we do it? If we need to take a touch, then yes, but can that first touch be away from our body to run onto in speed to then pass the ball? And then finally, being clinical in the final third. So when we're in front of goal, just scoring, okay? Being decisive, limiting our touches, not thinking too much, being decisive and just scoring, okay? Putting the ball in the back of the net. Okay, so we've spoke about it a few times. Once we hesitate, once we take too many touches, once we think about the decision or where we're going to place the ball too much, that's when the option's gone, the chance is gone, and we're giving the goalkeeper or the defender a more chance to win the ball. Moving into the psychological corner, so a lot of focus on awareness this week. So where the ball is and where you want the ball to go. Okay, so where the ball's coming from, where you want it to go. So being aware of the space around us and the players around us as well. So where their run's going to take us. So if I'm receiving the ball as a fullback and I'm going to be turning out and playing into midfielder, where's that midfielder going to be playing the pass? Is he going to be switching the play? If so, can I play the ball just slightly in front of him to run onto? But is there going to be a defender there? So I'm going to receive it, play it to him to receive on his back foot, to then take it across the body, to then play. Concentration and focus. So with us moving quite a lot in the patterns of play, but it coming quite quick, we need to be focused and concentrating at all times so we can see that where the ball's coming from. Not, walking to the next cone, getting to the next cone, getting set, getting ready to go again. Okay, because the good players, especially in the next part of the drill, are going to have lots of different passes to remember, lots of different movements to remember. So it's important that the concentrating and focus, so they're switched on, so then right, I know exactly where I'm receiving from, and I know exactly where I'm playing. And then finally, self-confidence. So the players, let's say they do try to play a pass first time, and it doesn't come off exactly what they want, not be worrying about it. Okay, this is, training is, the chance to make these mistakes, to make them better. Okay, so us as coaches have to give the players confidence, okay, by telling them it's good, it's a good idea to try them things, can we do it in the right areas? So the things of, is the pass able to play first time? Have your receiving skills? Has your movement enabled you to do these things? Okay, so just instilling that for the players to think, okay, I can try this. You know, if it doesn't come off, you know, the coach isn't going to scream and shout. He's going to encourage me to do it again. Moving into the physical corner, so we're trying to set a high tempo. Okay, so the slower that we're playing, the easier it is to defend and the harder it is to play out from the back. Okay, so the quicker that we're playing in and playing out and moving the opposition about, the more chance we've got of creating space to then penetrate the opposition. Speed as well, so focusing on two different types of speed. So our short burst of speed into space. Okay, so it could be that the centre-back's getting the ball and we're going to play into the full-back. So can we get out and then can we move forward to get the ball? And then obviously as well, speed of passes. Okay, so if we're playing a kind of 20, 30 yard pass switching the play, we need to make sure that it's fizzed in to our teammates. And then if it's only a 5, 10 yard pass, we need to make sure that our player is then able to play maybe first time, or the touch can then take them forward. We don't want to be playing in too slow. We don't want to be playing in too fast. We want to be playing nice firm passes on the floor, okay, nicely put in, so then we can take a touch forward or we can play first time. And then finally, communication. So communication this week is, where do you want the ball? Okay, where are we going to be receiving it from? Where do I want it? So when the winger is playing into the attacking midfielder to run into space, where do I want that ball? So it's play the ball in front, okay? Or if you say a 1-2, that player's going to know, okay, we're playing a 1-2, he's going to play it into me. I want to play nice and quick in front of him to run onto, to then play a ball into the striker. Okay, so it's important to recognise, to communicate with your teammate of where do you want the ball, because otherwise they're just going to play it to where you're standing to. So if you've made space and all you have to do is point in front to say yes, in front of me, okay, the player knows, okay, wants it in front to run onto, okay, or to feet, simple things like that, okay. And then again, praise and encouragement, so encouraging your teammates to play first time, to play those passes where they might not be too comfortable. Really, they might be playing a bit slow and you just edge them on a little bit, so just play a little bit quicker. Okay, that was a good idea, that was a good pass. So then when we're trying to set that high tempo, the players aren't afraid of playing really quickly because they don't want to lose the ball. So if they do lose the ball, or the pattern just stopped for a second because of that, don't let one bad pass or one bad touch ruin the move, because if we've done that in a game, we might as well have a bad touch or a bad pass and we just kick the ball back to the opposition. Okay, so if it comes to it and someone has a bad touch, it's okay, right, get the ball under, play the first pass you see, and then we'll just carry the move on from there. Okay, so moving into part 2 of this week's session, we're looking at another pattern of play, focusing on playing out from the back. So the play is going to start from the goalkeeper here. We're going to have lots of different positions set out. The two blues here, they're not actually defenders. It's just that in between each go, between being a winger and being the striker, they'll have a go acting as a defender. Okay, so just encouraging movement, emphasising the importance of it. So they might follow into space or come towards the ball to encourage different types of movements. So the play will start with the goalkeeper. In terms of the setup, it just depends on how much space you have. So you could go a total of 50 yards of depth, okay, and 40 yards of width and spread it out there. You just want to make sure that there's a good gap between each players, but then in here you don't want it to be too far away because you're looking for more 1-2s and little crosses and stuff. But in here you're looking to get the ball wide, and then we're looking to switch the play and play intricate in here. So can we make a bit of a gap but not too big as well? Okay, so starting with the goalkeeper, we're going to be playing into the centre midfielder who's coming short to receiver here. We want this pass to the fullback to be first time. Okay, so to the centre back, sorry. So the centre back is going to play in to the fullback after they've received. So that movement we want it to be out of here to maybe even play first time, or take that touch as soon as that touch has been taken. So this is what we were saying about the players focusing on where the ball's coming from. So as soon as that midfield receives the ball and they're going to play to the centre back, can I start to move? Okay, what am I going to do for my movement? Am I going to come short to then go long, or am I just going to pull out to receive it on the back foot to then play up, okay, as if I'm playing up to the winger or one of the wide midfielders? Okay, this player here, take the touch inside to then encourage the movement from the centre midfielder. They might run onto the ball to play first time, but we're going to receive on the back foot here, take it across, and then this fullback here or wide midfielder, another centre midfielder, makes a run just a bit forward to receive in front to play first time. Okay, so this is where these defenders come in now. So also as well, the players will follow their movements. Okay, so the centre midfielder will go to where the centre back is, centre back goes to where the fullback is, fullback moves up. Okay, so the player who's spare here will be the next one to start. The player in here comes into centre midfielder comes so on. This player in here now plays the ball into the attacking midfielder, so enticing the movement from the acting defender here. So when this ball gets played in from the midfielder, will this player step up to then that 1-2 is encouraged easier into space, okay? Or is this player going to have to do movement? So when this player is going to receive the ball in here, can we come short to think that I'm going to receive the ball off the fullback, and then it entices the defender to go in to give space for the attack midfielder. Then can I get that burst of space to go forward, burst of pace, sorry, to go forward, and then it comes in here. Can we just avoid this defender who's going to try and block the ball into the striker to then score? Okay, then the goalkeepers will swap. We've got another ball, carry on our movements. Striker goes to the back of the queue. The player who's the defender in here, okay, then goes to be striker, okay? The winger who was crossing then goes in, to be the attacking midfielder, and then the attacking midfielder becomes the defender in here. The player who was defending as the winger in here then becomes the attacking winger, and then the fullback becomes the defender in here. Okay, so each player will have 2 goes at defending before going back to the start. So it's important that we're focusing on that high tempo, moving the ball quickly, moving to receive the ball, and then being clinical in that final third. We will now move into our next animation before moving on to part 3 of this week's session. Okay, so moving into part 3 of this week's session, we're moving into more of a small-sided game now. Still focusing on that emphasis of building up play and little patterns of play to score. So we're going to be calling, this game's called a build versus counter game. Okay, so one team is looking to build up possession to score, and one team is looking to counter. Okay, so we're going to be giving the players more goals on offer in this game. So we've got our 2 goalkeepers set up for this part of the session. We've got 30 yards of depth and 20 yards of width. So we've got 6v6 plus our 2 goalkeepers. Okay, so when we're talking about patterns of play and playing up from the back, you know, we're trying to just teach the players in terms of being confident on the ball. Okay, so we're trying to improve them technically, okay, tactically as well with their movements, and obviously, you know, the psychological and social corners come into that as well with decision making and communication. And if the players from a younger age are developing these right skills of wanting to receive the ball, you know, in tight areas, and wanting to play the ball out the back and wanting to work the ball through midfield, and not just, you know, looking to play a long ball, which we have to do sometimes. If they've got the confidence to receive the ball, you know, play through midfield, play through the fullbacks and things like that, okay? When they're getting older, they'll do these things more often, okay? And it depends on what style of play you want as well. If you are a possession-based team and you want to move the ball quickly, or if you're a counter-attacking team, you can still have patterns of play of moving the ball quickly, okay, into midfield, out wide, and then go to the winger a bit quicker. So you just bring down the pattern of play a little bit less, involve less passes into it. But it's also good to use a warm-up tool sometimes to get the players focusing, okay? So they're moving the ball, they're moving, keep moving the ball, keep moving, okay? High tempo, things like that. So what we're going to be moving into now is the red team here is going to be the build team. So to score a goal, every player in the team must touch the ball. If the goalkeeper touches it, that's an extra goal as well, okay? Once they've touched it, so they've got six outfield players and the goalkeeper. So if all 7 of them touch the ball and then they score, they get 8 goals. So they get a point for scoring and then every point for who touched the ball. The counter-attacking team, they have 10 seconds once they win the ball back to try and score. They can score after that, but the first 10 seconds is vital for them, because if they win the ball back and there's 6 seconds left, so if we count down from 10 to 0 and there's 6 seconds left, they'll get 7 goals. 6 seconds left on the clock for scoring and an extra point for scoring. Okay, so that entices them to go and win the ball. So then we as a building team, when they're trying to press us, find that space to play nice patterns of play, intricate, find space to then go and penetrate the opposition. So the reason we want all the players to touch it is so that they've got to move. Okay, so once that's touched the ball, can I go and find a different space for somebody else to come into? Okay, if we just say only 3 people have to score, they could literally get the ball in, 1, 2, 3, done. Okay, and then they go and score. Okay, so we want them to work on the build-up play, working on the pattern of play. So the coach plays in, he could play to the goalkeeper, plays out to the fullback, into the midfielder, okay, and then we play into here like that. We get a bit of pressure, can go back to here, then can we move out, okay? Then we might get a player coming in here into space. The fullback might make a run forward. Okay, we play into the striker who sets in and scores. So every player's touched the ball, maybe more than once, some of them, okay? We've gone and scored, we've got our 7 points. And obviously if the Blues win it back in here, can they go bang in here and then look to score, okay? You can also switch the teams up, So you can say halfway through, right, now the Blues, you're going to be the build team, okay? Red, you're going to be the counter. You can maybe add in different things where you could put every player has to be in the other team's half to score. You just set in different things what you think might work. But personally, the build and the counter, the way it works here with one team countering, one team in building, okay, it works perfectly because you've got one team wanting to win the ball back, which then helps the build team to find a little bit of space if they're under pressure, okay, because they're going to leave space in behind because they're going to be pressing the ball. We will now move into our final animation before concluding this week's session. Thanks for watching this week's video. For more content, follow me on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. The links will be in the description below, and we'll see you next week for another Session Sunday.